home wins. The White Sox as well in 10 innings, edging Atlanta 6-5 on a two-run homer by Braden Montgomery in his Major League debut.
Live from the heart of SEC country, this is your daily fix of grit, guts, and gridiron glory. Welcome to the Deep South College Football Show.
Bowen, here it goes! Georgia retakes the lead!
Breaking down the biggest matchups, the boldest takes, and the deepest rivalries in college football on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC.
Intercepted! They confused him! Xavier Brown headed the other way! Touchdown Tide!
From Fayetteville to Gainesville, from the Grove to Toomer's Corner, it's SEC football.
Chambers delivers! Touchdown!
Now, here's your award-winning host, Wyatt Fulton.
And welcome into another edition of the Deep South College Football Show right here on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC, your home for Alabama Crimson Tide sports. Got a fun show for you guys today. We're going to talk a little SEC power rankings here as Chris Lowe released his SEC power rankings just a couple of days ago. So we'll talk about what the On3 national analyst has to think about the SEC. We'll give our takes, our breakdowns from what Chris Lowe had to say about each and every SEC team in these power rankings here. And Alabama baseball was wheels up and are now wheels down in Omaha, Nebraska, as we were at the airport earlier today. Got to talk a little bit with head coach Rob Vaughn, and Alabama has now landed in Omaha, Nebraska for its first College World Series trip, men's College World Series trip since 1999. We got Chase and Whitman hanging out with us here in the studio. Gentlemen, none of us were alive the last time Alabama was in Omaha.
I think I was born. I was just there.
Like you were just born. Yeah. Yeah. You were just born. I was 2 years away from being born. Whitman's even younger than all of us here. Whitman's hanging out with the old people today here on the radio side of things.
I feel like one today, Wyatt. My knees hurt, my feet hurt, my back hurts. That round of golf we talked about yesterday, if I can take 10 seconds of your program to brag, I shot my personal best yesterday, wheeled in with an 84. But more impressively, I'm alive to tell about it.
Where'd you play?
Tall Pines. Great deal out there. Great deal. Super nice people. No free advertising, but I'll give a little bit to them. $18 to walk 18 holes. If you've got the stomach and the heart to go out there in this weather and do it, I highly advise it. Course is gearing up to get in better shape. And Wyatt, I've never been hotter in my life. And I've done some intense workouts. I've been outside a lot in my life. I've never been hotter than I was for 3 hours on that golf course yesterday.
That would be the humidity around Tuscaloosa there, the heat and the humidity in Tuscaloosa. You don't even get because I grew up on the Gulf, right? So it's hot down there, it's humid down there, but at least you get that, that Gulf breeze coming through.
Yeah.
You're center of Alabama here, man. You got no weather, no breeze, no nothing, just hot.
I knew I would make it through the round, but on my way up the 18th fairway, I looked up in the sky. Quite literally, this is the God's honest truth. I took my hat off. I said, thank you, God, for getting me through today. I wish I were exaggerating, but I hit my last putt on 18. I sounded like a dog after a run. Suck and win bad, but we made it and we lived to tell about it.
Hey, it's all good, man. It's all good. You played around. You did your best and shot way better than anything I've ever come even close to. So, hey, congrats to you on a good round of golf there. But Alabama baseball is wheels down in Omaha here. We'll talk a little baseball here in the first segment just because, again, we heard from Rob Vaughn earlier today. Don't really necessarily know who's going to get the start on Saturday, but he will be on with Gary Harris on Friday as he is every Friday during the baseball season. And so I imagine by Friday, we'll pretty much know who's going to be the starting pitcher for the Crimson Tide. Is it going to be Tyler Fay, who's got a week off here? When you look at his first pitch coming on Saturday afternoon in the Tuscaloosa Super Regional, could it be Zane Adams, who got the start on Sunday for the Crimson Tide? Before a rain delay postponed that game through Monday morning there? Or is it Miles Upchurch, who we haven't seen since that Sunday matchup against Oklahoma State in the Tuscaloosa Regional? Keep in mind, that was 2 weeks ago now that we've gone since we've seen Miles Upchurch. So Chase, you're on with Gary every morning. Didn't last week Rob Vaughn say, hey, our ideal scenario is we go Tyler Fay in game 1 against St. John's, Zane Adams in game 2, and Miles is ready to go for game 3?
That's correct. That's what I heard when he was on last week.
That's what he said with Gary last week. Well, that's the ideal scenario. Very rarely do we get ideal scenarios in life, the real world, in sports. Like, it's only video games, really and truly, that you get these ideal scenarios. Alabama's got an ideal scenario here. Tyler Fay is a week rested. Miles Upchurch hasn't pitched in a game. Obviously, he's thrown in the bullpen and things like that, but he hasn't pitched in a game since Sunday of the Tuscaloosa Regional against Oklahoma State. Chase, Gary asked me this question earlier when I was on with him from the Tuscaloosa airport here. You got to go Tyler Fay here, right? You got to go Tyler Fay. Get that first win under your belt and prove, no, I belong in Omaha. My team belongs here.
Yes, 100%, Wyatt. I think you want to take that approach. We're winning and we're moving on. You cannot have a backup plan because I believe if you lose against Oklahoma, you face the winner of Texas and Georgia.
If you lose to Oklahoma, you face the loser of Texas and Georgia.
Yeah.
It's okay. So it's double elimination until you get to the finals, essentially. Then everything resets and you got to go again, game 1, 2, and 3 here. So if you're Alabama here, okay. We actually just got a text here from Barry Sanderson. Big shout out to Barry Sanderson inside the locker room, who had Rob Vaughn on this morning and said that Tyler Fay is starting for Alabama. So he gave me a different answer, 3 hours or 2 hours later at the Tuscaloosa airport. But sounds like Tyler Fay is going to get the start for Alabama, which is a big time deal for the Crimson Tide. Thank you to Barry Sanderson there for helping us there inside the locker room, 7 to 9 a.m. every single weekday, Monday through Friday here. So you got Tyler Fay getting the bump on Saturday afternoon against Oklahoma, but you want that first win to prove we belong in Omaha, right? It wasn't a fluke. A lot of people were criticizing Alabama's run, but, if you're the number 1 seed, guess what? You're probably going to have an easier run. If you're a top 8 national seed, guess what? You probably are going to have a little bit easier of a run than if you are, seed 9, seed 10, 11, all the way down to 16 as the original regional host there in the NCAA baseball tournament here. So a lot of people are criticizing Alabama's run. If that doubt maybe has started to creep into the team, I don't think it has. Rob Vaughn does a really good job of keeping this team locked and loaded, ready to go. But if that doubt has creeped in, you go Tyler Fay game 1, maybe get a couple of big hits here, and you take down Oklahoma after beating the Sooners earlier this season in Norman, and you prove to yourself we belong in Omaha, and suddenly you're getting ready for a matchup of just insane proportions against Georgia, who is one of the hottest teams in college baseball, and Texas, who we all know what the Longhorns bring to the table here, Chase and Whitman.
39th trip to Omaha, I believe this is for the Longhorns, which is just a stupid number. When you look at, I think there's been 80 College World Series, maybe a little more, but not that many. Yeah. I'm pretty sure by that logic, Texas has appeared in within a stone's throw of 50% of every College World Series that's ever happened.
Yeah, it's ridiculously impressive what Texas has done historically and what Georgia's been able to do this season, winning the SEC regular season there. Hey, before we take our first time out here, let's jump out on the phone lines, 205-342-9904. And let's talk with our buddy Pat right here in Tuscaloosa. Pat, how you doing, man?
Yeah, man. Hey, I know y'all talking baseball, but the previous show, he was talking football and elite football teams, and I couldn't get in. There was an elite running back that came to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, that we passed on, and we did not spend as much effort getting him, and one Mark Fletcher. One Mark Fletcher is going to lead Miami back deep into the playoffs. Agree or not agree?
I think so. I think Mark Fletcher is one of the top running backs in the country. If I'm compiling a top 5 list of running backs in college football, which we may do and kind of explain a little bit later, I've probably got 3 kids from the SEC, probably Isaac Brown from Louisville, and Mark Fletcher on that list. I think those are your top 5 running backs in college football.
Yep. Mark Fletcher's who I would want on my team. If I had to have 3.5 yards and was do or die situation, I'd want Mark Fletcher handling the ball.
I'd want Ahmad Hardy.
Hey, Fletcher. Hey, Fletcher looked like a bad man when he was playing against I guess it was Ole Miss.
Yeah, Mark Fletcher looked real daggum good. He's a guy that I really like. I think he can be a really good ball player there for Miami this season. And look, they're going to have the offensive line again. They're going to have the quarterback play again. So I expect Miami to still be a really good team this season. I don't know about elite though. I don't know about elite.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't say. I said they got an elite running back. I didn't say they got an elite football team. But because of a quarterback situation and the offensive lineman that did leave with a run out of eligibility, one from Alabama, Brockermeyer. But anyway, what Coach say, pay the wrong players and you foul up. Coach said that, and anyway, hey. That it is what it is. Enjoying the show, and I hope we can get some good information about this baseball team and that. But I think it was a great Ted Williams that said hitting a round ball with a round bat may be the most difficult thing you'll ever do in sports.
Yeah, so, it's not easy to do. Even you're a Hall of Fame baseball player if you can hit 350.
Yeah. I was a catcher, and I had hell with a curve. I knew that. All right. Hey, guys. Hey, y'all have a blessed day. Thanks.
We appreciate you, Pat. That's Pat in Tuscaloosa joining us via the phone lines right there. Yes, Alabama will take on Oklahoma this Saturday in the Men's College World Series, the CWS. Alabama's first trip to Omaha since 1999. We already said it. I wasn't alive last time Alabama made a trip to Omaha. They'll take on Oklahoma on Saturday afternoon. First pitch scheduled for 2 o'clock. Airtime on Tide 100.9 with the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Roger Hoover will be on the call for the University of Alabama. Airtime is 1:45, first pitch, 2 o'clock Central Time. You can listen to that right here on Tide 100.9. We'll go ahead and take this first time out, and coming back on the other side, we'll talk a little more SEC football, SEC power rankings, and we'll jump back out on the phone lines as I believe we got Jeff in Tennessee. So, Jeff, hang on with us here, bud, and we'll get to you here in just a minute.
Ask your doctor about Tremfya today. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit TremfyaRadio.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Here's your Tuscaloosa and West Alabama forecast. Sunshine here this afternoon. High temperatures at 92, 74 tonight. Clear skies tomorrow. High tomorrow 93. 93 on Friday. Sunshine. A pop-up shower or storm expected during the day. And we'll keep temperatures in the low 90s for the weekend. Scattered showers and storms in the forecast. Richard DeWething at the Weather Channel for Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
It's 93 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Did you miss any episode on Tide 100.9? Don't worry. All of our shows can be found on Spotify and Apple Music and on demand on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Deep South College Football Show here on Tide 100.9. Let's jump back onto the phone lines here and head up to Tennessee as we talk with Jeff. Jeff, how you doing, man?
How you doing?
I'm good. Appreciate you for asking. What's on your mind?
Oh, not a lot. Just I know y'all probably gonna go over the rankings. I'm sure Kentucky's not ranked too high, but I'm not too worried about it. I don't know what they're gonna do this year. It's kind of it's not on Mulligan, but don't know what they're gonna do. So we're just gonna go play and see. But I do know this, that for the first time when we have media days next month, it'll be the first time ever that Kentucky has been on the first day during media days in 41 years.
Yeah, they normally put Kentucky on Get Out of Town Day.
Well, why? What do you think? It's 41 years, not on the first day. I know Texas and Oklahoma probably ain't. I mean, all the other schools been on the first day. All the other schools have. Maybe Texas A&M, Missouri, I don't know about 10. But Arkansas, South Carolina had 10. To me, that's disrespect to the university and the program. far as I'm concerned.
Putting them on the first day is disrespectful? Or not doing it, or not having them on the first day for so long?
41 years? All the time you had the SEC, 41 years? You're going to do that? Are you kidding me? I mean, come on, man. Are you serious? Do you really think that's okay? I mean, do you? What if they done Alabama that way? I know they're not going to do them that way. Or Auburn, anybody else.
There's Jeff, there's certain programs that did not command the attention of the spotlight. And unfortunately, for a while, Kentucky was one of them. Now, Kentucky, they've got a new head coach. It's an exciting time in Lexington with Will Stein. And so they decided to bump him up here. You should be happy that they're bumping Kentucky up and they're not on Get Out of Town Day.
I guess. But it takes 41 years to do it. That's the problem. It takes 41 years to do it. I mean,
maybe field a competitive program for the first time in 41 years, and they won't put you back on the last day.
Let's do this. Why don't we have a 4-day basketball media day and put Alabama on about the third day? Because they ain't done nothing.
I'd be all for multiple days for basketball.
Well, they're not going to do it because they don't care about basketball. Do you know who any of the games, the challenge this year? You know who's playing besides Alabama and Auburn? Do you know who the games are? Do you know?
I don't know all the games off the top of my head. No.
That's what I thought. Duke and 4 is the best one. Kentucky and Virginia. I think Vanderbilt's playing Notre Dame.
Well, Alabama's had North Carolina and Clemson the last 2 years, so I'm just glad they're finally getting somebody else.
Kentucky's already playing Carolina this year, so they're playing Virginia at Virginia, and then Duke's playing at 4. That's the best game of the bunch.
That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited about that one.
That'd be the best game. But I didn't want to ask you to also. We think about the. I know it's a football, but we think about the NBA Finals because the Spurs get back in it.
I think the Spurs can. I said Knicks in 6. That was my prediction. I think Wemby is so good for the Spurs, but you're going to need him to drop 40 and somebody else to step up. I think the Spurs, they're really young. They're a really good team, but I think the Knicks just have a little too much firepower. So you're not going to sweep a team like the Spurs, but I do think Knicks in 6.
Oh yeah, well I think it's a good series. I mean, the game the other night was good. Really should be 2-1.
Right, game three was phenomenal.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed watching game 3.
Oh yeah, it was a good game. It really should be 2-1 San Antonio, but like I said, tonight'll be fun. But no, maybe we can get some respect around the league. But like I said, to me it shouldn't matter. In 41 years, you ought to be able, you ought to have board. It ought not be your first time with the top. But y'all have a good one, guys. See you.
That's Jeff in Tennessee joining us via the phone lines right there. He finds a way to get upset about Kentucky in just about any situation. I like Jeff a lot, but I mean, they moved Tennessee to day 1 for the first time in, I guess, 41 years, like he said. It means you're fielding an exciting program. If you're on day 4, guess what? We call that Get Out of Town Day. Why? Because we've all been in whatever city, Atlanta last year, Tampa this year, Dallas 2 years ago. We've all been in that city for 4 days at that point because everyone gets in on Sunday, right? But the event starts on Monday. We want to go home. Like, I don't, as much fun as I have at media days, I don't want to sit in Dallas and Atlanta for 5 days straight. I don't want to go to Dallas and Atlanta in July. Tampa I might hang around.
Who were the last teams to speak at media day last year? The get out of town teams.
I believe it was Arkansas, Kentucky. I got to go back and look at the schedule. Texas A&M was on Get Out of Town Day 2 years ago.
Wasn't Missouri one of them last year?
No, Missouri actually started day 2. Missouri started day 2 because that was when Eli Drinkwitz gave his 2014 playoff. Jesus, sorry. My dog's in the room with me, and he just scared the crap out of me. Missouri actually started day 2, and that was where Eli Drinkwitz looked like a crazy person for suggesting his 2014 playoff model that apparently now he was ahead of the times. So, but maybe if you field a competitive program, don't go 3-9 and suddenly, maybe we will start to put you on. Maybe we will start to put you a little bit earlier in the week where people actually want to talk about your program and your head coach. Because you notice every time there's a new head coach, they're not on Thursday. Every time a program makes some massive change or gets a massive recruit, they're not on Thursday. because people want to stay and people want to talk about that program. People want to talk to that coach in that program. I mean, like Tuesdays at SEC Media Days is just, there's more people there than I care to count. Right? Last year on Tuesday, you had Missouri, Georgia, Tennessee, and I think Auburn. Those were your 4 on Tuesday. So you have Hugh Freeze, who's always a character. You have the best program in the SEC in Kirby Smart, and you've got a really entertaining head coach in Alex Golish and a program that is on the up and up with Missouri. Like Tuesday was the best day at SEC Media Days last year. Wednesday was all right. You had Alabama, who always commands the attention on that Wednesday there. Wednesday at Media Days is always a ton of fun there because we are just locked and loaded with content. But looking here at the SEC Power Rankings here from On3's Chris Lowe, these are his SEC Power Rankings here. This is courtesy of On3 and Chris Lowe, like I said before. He's got Texas at number 1, Georgia at number 2, Ole Miss sitting at 3, Oklahoma at 4, Texas A&M at 5, LSU at 6, Alabama comes in at number 7, Tennessee rounds out the top half of the SEC at number 8, 9 is Florida, 10 is South Carolina, 11 is Missouri, 12 is Vanderbilt, 13 Auburn, 14 Mississippi State. Jeff, you're not last. 15th is Kentucky, and 16th is our friends over in Fayetteville, Arkansas, with the Razorbacks there of Arkansas. We'll go ahead and break down these on the other side of this break. But Jackson Whitman, do you have just an initial reaction to seeing this top 6 or this 16-team power rankings here from Chris Lowe?
Yeah, Ole Miss is too high.
You got Ole Miss too high. Whitman, what's your initial take?
Dare I say, I don't see a spot to put them in right now, but does Auburn feel a little low given the juice added into the program this year?
That is an interesting spot for Auburn there. My take is, and I'm a big John Mateer guy. Jay from Unfair Sports will tell you, we've had him on before. I value Oklahoma very highly. Feels like the Sooners are a little bit too high for that number 4 spot. So that's our initial takeaways. We'll talk about the rest of them here on the other side, here on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC, your home.
829. That's 800-923-6829. What do you have to lose? Call 800-923-6829. Again, 800-923-6829.
Your front row seat to all things Alabama. Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC. The home of Alabama Crimson Tide sports.
Welcome back into the Deep South College Football Show. We're talking SEC power rankings here. According to On3's Chris Lowe here, we gave our initial takes here. Jackson, you said Ole Miss is too high. Whitman, you said Auburn's too low, and I think that Oklahoma's a little bit too high. Jackson, I'll start with you. In your opinion, why is Ole Miss a little too high on this list?
They're losing a lot in the receiver room, and they're losing a lot on defense. The really only 2 mainstays that you really have for Ole Miss are quarterback and running back, which is great to have. But as far as the rest of the team goes, you really don't know what you have. And now, is Trinidad Chambliss going to be a Heisman Trophy contender and probably the favorite? Yes. Is that enough to carry you through the season? Maybe, if he's like a Joe Burrow generational talent kind of Heisman Trophy winner. Sure. But I think it's too early to tell, and this is a power ranking, so it's all roster-based. I still feel like defensively and in that wide receiver room, there's not much power to conclude.
Fair. That's fair. They did lose Caden Lee, Harrison Wallace, both out of that program. Dazon Stribling gone as well. And then you look at the defensive side of the ball. You do retain Suntarine Perkins, who was an Alabama target. We know how good he can be as kind of that inside-outside hybrid linebacker, can spy the quarterback very well there. But you lost your big edge rusher in Prince Will Uman-Mielen, who now sits in Baton Rouge with Lane Kiffin. By the way, replacing both those coordinators as well. I understand Pete Golding was your defensive coordinator last year. He's now the head coach, but you hired somebody new for that official defensive coordinator title, and you lost Charlie Weiss Jr. to LSU, and now you've got a new offensive coordinator there in Oxford, Mississippi. Yeah, Ole Miss, I want to be high on Ole Miss because of what they are returning with, like we said, with Trinidad, with Kawan Lacey, with Suntarine Perkins there. I'm just nervous. I'm nervous with the amount of turnover that they had and how much of Ole Miss is going to be, all right, we are so focused on that week 3 game. We are so focused on what happens against LSU on that 3rd week of the season. After that, who the hell knows what goes on with Ole Miss, because you do not have the easiest schedule by any stretch of the imagination. So that's fair. I think I like the idea that Ole Miss may be a little bit too high in these rankings. Where would you kind of slot the Rebels here on your power rankings?
Yeah, I would move A&M to 3, LSU 4, Oklahoma 5, Ole Miss 6.
Okay. I don't hate that at all. Whitman, you're championing the other side of the state here, saying that Auburn's a little too low. Where do you think, or why do you think they're too low, and where do you think they should be?
Auburn's
those Tigers, buddy.
Somebody's got to do it. Auburn's issue last year was they paired a very talented roster. I mean, you cannot deny they had a lot of very good ball players, somewhat outside of the quarterback position on that team. A very talented roster paired with a coach that couldn't quite get them over the edge. My opinion, they retained a lot of those pieces on defense. Yes, new quarterback in Byron Brown, but you still have a very talented team, but now you upgrade at coach. Would that not lead you to believe that logically Auburn is bound to be a better football program? It seems like what held Auburn back was good team, couldn't win the close games. That's coaching. You go and fix the coaching, maintain relatively the same level of talent with a better coach. So why don't we see any improvement? I think a lot of what, now I move on to where they should be. Vanderbilt had a lot of talent on their team last year, not upper end blue chip kind of talent, but they had some guys. They had a lot of those older guys. They took somewhat of the Indiana path, just not quite to that level. But a lot of what, pushed the Vanderbilt engine was their quarterback, Diego Pavia, regardless of what your opinion is on him. I don't see how Vanderbilt loses their Heisman runner-up and their best offensive weapon in Eli Stowers and continue to be better than the Auburn Tigers. I don't quite know outside of Lenore Sellers, and Lenore Sellers is a dude that can hold you 2 or 3 spots above what your team should actually be in a ranking like this. He's just that kind of player. I don't know right now if Lenore Sellers is enough to show me that South Carolina should be ahead of Auburn. Right now, you got one player on defense in Dylan Stewart, but other than that, I mean, dare I say you look at Missouri. Yes, they've got Austin Simmons, and he's going to be a heck of a ball player. But, I mean, Ahmad Hardy, we don't know if Ahmad Hardy's going to play this year due to what happened to him last month in that concert incident. Right now, it's hard for me to find 4 teams worse than Auburn, but it's really hard for me to find 12 that are better. That doesn't make a lot of sense to anybody not in my brain, but to me that makes a lot of sense, and I hope you can understand where I'm getting at.
It's hard to find.
No, I'm tracking with that. I track with that. My thing is that, to me, South Carolina does feel a little too high. Like, Lenore Sellers is a dude. A lot of people like to throw out this comparison. I don't. So when I throw out this comparison, I try to have it mean something. Lenore Sellers does remind me a lot of a Cam Newton, right? I know a lot of people love to throw that title around to any tall, athletic black quarterback, but I try not to do that. He does remind me a lot of what Cam brought to the table. He's a very powerful runner with an electric arm and is probably going to be able to elevate South Carolina maybe a little bit higher than what the Gamecocks should be. But if we're looking at the roster as a whole, I don't know that I'm taking South Carolina's roster over what Auburn's got.
Why? Maybe
I don't know
Chris
that I'm
Lowe
taking
watched
South Carolina over Missouri.
Maybe Chris Lowe watched that video you put out before he made this ranking of Lenore Sellers' touchdown with a minute left against Clemson 2 years ago that you put on TikTok here recently and said, you know what? I'm fired up. Give me the Gamecocks.
I mean, look, we all love electric plays. We all love electric quarterbacks, but I mean, I'm not taking South Carolina's roster over what Missouri's got. And by the way, Missouri's a weird team to talk about right now because of the status being up in the air on Ahmad Hardy. If we're playing like Ahmad Hardy is healthy and he's going to play, we'll say 11 games, maybe he misses week 1, but he's going to play the vast majority of the season, I think that puts Missouri almost at number 8 at that point. I think he's that good and brings that much to the table.
I agree. And South Carolina has a brutal schedule too, but because they play Alabama plays them, right? We play them here.
Yeah, Alabama plays them.
Georgia comes to Williams-Brice. They play Clemson. I mean, that's 3 usually.
At Bama, at Florida, Tennessee, at Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Georgia, at Clemson. Like that's a really, really tough schedule if you're South Carolina.
Yeah, and so you have to start 4-0 just to have, any sort of semblance of being above that 10 spot there.
Yeah.
But I mean, going back to the Auburn thing, do we really know? Like, defensively, we probably know what Auburn's going to be. Offensively, though, you lose Singleton. I mean, you retain your running back, but one of them. But Cam Coleman's gone. And you bring in a group of 5 quarterback who's throwing motion,
A lot of people don't like that throwing motion.
Yeah,
a lot of people hate that throwing motion.
Let's just say Byron Brown is not a 7-on-7 kind of quarterback.
He's not. He's absolutely not.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, with what he brings with his legs, you cannot fully evaluate Byron Brown in a 7-on-7 situation or routes on air type of situation. Like Byron Brown, you have to evaluate him off the game tape.
I agree.
And what we've seen from the game tape is pretty damn good.
I agree, but week in and week out, week after week, facing an SEC defense, I don't know. I think they'll end
Gave
up
Alabama headaches.
Yeah, I mean, do I think they'll end up being better than 13 here? Probably, but right now I don't know. I just don't know.
Does Auburn finish with a better record than Vanderbilt this season? Do we think that Auburn finishes with a better record than Vandy this year?
You're implying
because they haven't the last 2 years.
If they don't, we're having some very uncomfortable conversations about what Jared Curtis is going to do in 2027 and also 2028 as well. Because Bryce Underwood, the quarterback prospect of all quarterback prospects coming out of high school, looked like a 4th grader in the Big Ten this year. And that's not an insult to him. That's what rookies look like in the NFL, and that's what true freshmen look like at the Power 4 level, especially in the SEC and the Big Ten. I don't know if Vanderbilt is probably saying win every game. We're pushing for a championship. This is our goal.
Yeah.
But surely the athletic director in Nashville is not going, we're going to fire the head coach if he doesn't win 8 games. You're bound to regress after the best season in the history of your program won. We kind of have to remember the deviation of the mean exists for a reason. Despite what Vanderbilt did, and you could even say despite what Indiana did, they're bound to not go 16-0 and 10-2 respectively in back-to-back years.
Yeah, it's so difficult to be so successful for so long. That's why it's so impressive when Alabama and Georgia and all these other teams do it. They're at the mountaintop for so long. I mean, if you're not a premier program, your best year is probably 10-2 in the playoff, lose in the quarters or semifinals. Right? For Alabama, or for Georgia and Alabama and Texas, that's a failure of a season. For Vanderbilt, we're ready to crown Clark Lee as one of the best head coaches in the SEC for doing that, missing the playoffs at Vanderbilt.
Yeah, and going
he was in contention for the Florida job based off of it.
I still think he is a great coach and probably should sometime
I think he should have taken that Florida gig.
Yeah. He also probably should have considered the Penn State job. I don't know. But
bald head coach from Penn State, from Vanderbilt, it made too much sense for him to go to Penn State.
Right. Do I think Penn State got a great coach? Yes. But Texas and Georgia, I still think I would put Georgia over Texas. I mean, they're the 2-time defending SEC champion, and they're returning basically everybody.
Yeah. At this point,
you can't drop them.
My power rankings, which I have not put out in quite some time, might do that again this week. But my power rankings, it's Georgia until somebody beats them. And I understand Alabama beat them in the regular season. I understand Ole Miss beat them in the college football playoff. But when it came time with the championship actually on the line, you are playing 4A championship. At the end of that game, you get a ring and a trophy. Georgia blanks Alabama. Should have blanked Alabama. The Tide got lucky with the Jeremy Bernard play at towards the end of that ball game there, but Georgia just beat the tar out of Alabama.
Yeah, and Georgia was the only team not named Indiana last season to beat every team that they played.
Right. So if this were my power ranking, it's Georgia at number one. I would put Georgia at number one every single week until somebody does topple the Bulldogs. And then at that point, because Whitman, I know you did the power rankings for us here last season.
Which I'm looking forward to doing again, by the way.
I was going to say, hope you'll do it again this year, because I think that was really good.
They're fun.
You had a rule, right? Undefeated teams are always in the top. Until somebody goes down, those undefeated teams are sitting on top of your rankings here. Even if they've beaten nobody, those undefeated teams still sit at the top, right?
Yes.
So why is Georgia not number one?
I built those rankings off of the rule of one of the most polarizing men in sports entertainment, a 116-time world champion, Ric Flair. One of his most famous lines: if you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. And right now, Texas has everything they need to do both, but they haven't yet.
It really and truly feels like the two current schemes of college football, the two biggest questions in college football are, can you win a championship without the prolific passing attack? And I'm not saying Georgia doesn't have a good passing attack. There's no indictment on Gunnar Stockton here, but when you think of Georgia offense, what do you think of? You think of offensive linemen. You think of ground and pound running games. You think of running backs who are so dynamic that they can catch out of the backfield, and they're some of the best rushers in the SEC. And when you do need to throw, it's a tight end or a slot receiver. You don't have the big weapons out at the X and the Z at the wide receiver. You don't have the Cam Coleman's of the world, but you got a Brock Bowers, right? You've got a phenomenal running back in Nate Frazier and Chauncey Bowens. You may not have Cam Coleman and Ryan Wingo, but if the way that Georgia plays offense is, hey, look, I understand you've got some horses in the stable. I understand you've got some dudes that can fly down the field. Guess what? They can't fly down the field if they're not on the field. I'm going to control this game. You're going to play at my pace. And yeah, you may haul ass up and down the field. You may be able to score 40 a game, but that's only if you get so many possessions, right? That's only if you get 7-8 possessions per game. What happens if I limit your possessions from 8 to 6, from 9 to 5? That's how Georgia beats teams. That's what Georgia does. They break you down and break your will until you finally say, man, screw this. I'm done. I'm tired. I don't want to play. I don't want to hit these guys anymore. And Georgia keeps hitting you in the mouth in the fourth quarter. That's what Georgia does. Can Texas do that?
Right. And is that not also how Indiana just won a national title?
Indiana won a national title doing it. Had a Heisman quarterback in that backfield as well. That when they needed the prolific passing attack, hey, Fernando Mendoza rose to the occasion, right? When they needed a game-winning passing touchdown against Penn State, Fernando Mendoza rises to the occasion. When they needed a game-sealing touchdown in the national championship against Miami, Fernando Mendoza said, hey, I'm going to take this rock, I'm going to call my own number, and I'm going to go score this touchdown. It feels like Gunnar Stockton has that ability to him. He can elevate to the level that he needs to because we've seen him do it, right? We saw him do it in Knoxville, Tennessee. That was a shootout between Georgia and Tennessee. And what did Gunnar Stockton do? The video's still getting likes on my Instagram reels. Drops a dime to London Humphreys to tie that game.
We saw him do it against Ole Miss in Athens. They scored on every single possession.
Scored every possession in Athens against Ole Miss. Just couldn't quite get the job done in the Sugar Bowl. So, Ric Flair, Whitman Clark, Wyatt Fulton. If you want to be the man, you got to beat the man. And right now, Georgia is the man in the SEC. That's the number one team.
Seemingly three guys with a whole lot in common.
Allegedly.
So they say.
I've got Oklahoma here they've got Oklahoma sitting here at number 4. I think it's a little too high. Oklahoma and Alabama are in the same exact position just about. Oklahoma and Alabama sit in the same spot. You feel like you're okay at wide receiver. Isaiah Satania, Parker Livingston, and Terrell Harris for Oklahoma. Ryan Coleman-Williams, Sadarian Morgan, Derek Meadows, Rico Scott, Latsier Brooks for Alabama. So you feel fine at receiver. Defensively, most of those key pieces are back. Kip Lewis for Oklahoma, Yanze Pierre for Alabama. The Bowen brothers for Oklahoma, Eli and Peyton, Xavier Brown, Bray Hubbard, Dijon Lee for Alabama. Defensive line, you know they're going to be good for Oklahoma because they got David Stone. Alabama's got London Simmons. Running game was the big question for both these teams last season. They both feel like they got better in that area. Oklahoma went and got the coach that recruited Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love to Notre Dame. Alabama went and got a 5-star in EJ Crowell and a 3-star running back in Trayshawn Brown that looks like he actually could do some serious damage if he's given the opportunity this season. And by the way, the current backs on the roster did what they needed to do. Daniel Hill got a little bit smaller, or a little bit thinner, I should say, more elusive and faster. Kevin Riley's got some strength on him now. A.K. Deer's got some muscle on him now for Alabama. The biggest question for both Oklahoma and Alabama is the offensive line. Alabama's offensive line couldn't get any push in the run game to save their life. Oklahoma's offensive line couldn't protect John Mateer to save their life. So why is Oklahoma sitting at number 4 and Alabama sits at number 7? This isn't an Alabama point. This is an Oklahoma point. If we've got the same questions and criticisms about Oklahoma that we do Alabama, why is Oklahoma 3 spots ahead of Alabama? Not saying that Alabama should be 4 or 3 or 5. Not saying that Oklahoma should drop all the way down here either. But if these are our criticisms for Bama, why are we not having these same questions about Oklahoma? Why is Oklahoma 4 spots ahead over a Texas A&M team that we know's got a good defense? We know can run the ball. We know they've got a high-level electric quarterback. We know that they've got the receivers. They've got the horses in the stable with Isaiah Horton, Ashton Bethel-Roman, and Mario Craver. Why are they in there over LSU? Isn't everybody and their mother, really high on LSU right now? I was about to use a different terminology, but with Lane Kiffin, I probably shouldn't. Isn't everybody and their mother, just so excited about LSU this year?
LSU right now feels like one of those great big old clouds you look up into a blue sky and see. There looks to be a whole lot there, and you could just imagine laying on top of that cloud and it being all soft and comfortable and nice and enjoyable. But we learned at a young age, what's a cloud? It's a whole lot of nothing. I'm really worried about LSU that they may just be one big old white fluffy cloud in the sky that looks nice from the ground, but when you're flying through it in the airplane, wait, what? I thought this was supposed to be like a big cushion or something. It's just nothing.
Yeah.
Where'd it go?
I'll tell you what LSU feels like to me. And the more I've thought about this, the more it makes sense. They feel like Colorado when Colorado had Shadur and Travis Hunter.
Ooh.
All the hype, okay, all the cameras, all the, controversy and perfect timing, whatever. It's the same thing. What did Colorado do? They went 8-4. Did they have a Heisman Trophy winner? Sure. But that's exactly what LSU is going to do, minus the Heisman Trophy winner. They're going to garner all the hype, all the attention, all the cameras. It's the story. Oh, it's Lane Kiffin, the personalities. Only to go 8-4.
All right. Jackson's calling his shot on LSU. I don't know that 8-4 is what they're going to do.
Or 9-3.
Wouldn't be shocked.
9-3.
I was going to say, I wouldn't be shocked. To me, it feels like LSU's ceiling and floor for LSU to me is like 11-1 is the ceiling and 7-5 is the floor.
Wyatt, let me ask you a question while we've still got some time. Where do you go with Alabama if this is your ranking? Because 7 at first glance feels low, but it's that first-year starter that really is probably holding them back in everybody's list. You talked about the defense, but if you were making a list from scratch, 1 through 16, where does Alabama go?
See, that's a good question because everybody above Alabama currently has an established, or at least we know who the starter is going to be. Texas, Arch Manning, Georgia, Gunnar Stockton, Trinidad Chambliss, John Mateer, Marcel Reed, and Sam Leavitt. So in that aspect of things, Alabama's the highest ranked team that has got a quarterback question. Is it Keelan Russell or is it Austin Mack? Tennessee, is it George McIntyre or is it Faison Brandon? Florida, is it Aaron Philo or Tramel Jones? Right? So, like you said, at first glance, Bama does feel really, really low at number 7. I don't know that I'd move them too terribly much. I'd probably flip them with LSU just because I think Alabama's got some more stability on defense, right? Now, LSU, you got to give them props. DJ Pickett, Whit Weeks, Prince Will, Umon Mialen, like having those guys on that defense, having a bona fide stud at every level of the defense in the secondary, at the linebacker position, and on the defensive front, it's huge. Do we not think Alabama's going to have, one of the best secondaries in college football, though?
It's the closest thing to a guarantee I've seen in a preseason in a long time, Wyatt.
Do we not think Yanze Pierre is going to be what he was last season? Like, if he gets no better than what he was last year, that's an 8-sack season. Alabama didn't have, before Yanze Pierre, Alabama didn't have that since Chris Braswell.
And he didn't start until halfway through the year.
His first start came after the Georgia game, which was 4 games into the year. So by week 5, Yanze Pierre was a starter. And he had 8 sacks last season. So, again, with the offensive line, that's a major question for Alabama here when you look at it. But I'd probably flip LSU and Alabama. And I may even slide Oklahoma to that Alabama territory. So I'd put Alabama probably at 5 or 6 with Oklahoma either one spot ahead or one spot behind. For me, that Oklahoma would be one spot ahead because I think John Mateer is all that in a bag of chips. But, I mean, if we knew who the starter was at Alabama.
It's his hair, right?
He does have a really good flow. He's got a great flow. But a Heisman front runner coming out of the Auburn game last season. Like, you've got to respect that. And, oh, by the way, walked into Neyland Stadium at night and won. Walked into Bryant-Denny Stadium on homecoming and won. So you got, while he's injured, by the way, that thumb and that knee injury were still hindering him in those 2 games. So you've got to assume that John Mateer is at least going to be what he was last season. Well, last season they went 10-2. So I'd probably stick Alabama at 6, flip them in LSU, and then I'd probably flip Oklahoma and A&M.
Would you
say? And of course, I'd flip Texas and Georgia.
Would you say that this conference out of the Power 4 would be the hardest to rank? Because a lot of what you just said is exactly the issue that I ran into week after week after week in the fall making my own rankings. Because I'd get to 7 and I'd go, oh my God, I don't even have. And if I started at 1, go down to 16, I'd get to 7 and I'd go, oh my God, I don't have 1 loss Tennessee or I don't have 1 loss Missouri anywhere up here. And I look and I go, well, there are just that many good teams in the conference. It's such a deep conference where, I really wish sometimes we were a Big Ten syndicate because then I could just slap the top 3 up there on my power rankings and then I could just dartboard the rest of the teams and it really wouldn't matter from like 10 down to 18 because they're all the same level of bad.
1 through 3. Ohio State, Oregon, Indiana, whatever order you want until they play each other. Bottom 3, Rutgers, Northwestern, Purdue,
Maryland,
and just kind of Wisconsin, and just kind of scatter the rest of them in there. Yeah, no, sometimes it is. Sometimes I feel like it would be nice to cover a bad conference, but would we have a show if we covered a bad football conference?
You know what God does to his strongest soldiers, right? Gives them his toughest battles.
I clearly am not God's strongest soldier because I don't know that I could cover a bad football conference in total like the Big Ten. Top heavy. Bottom of the conference, though, at least Arkansas fired their coach and is trying to be competitive again here. So that'll do it for us today on the radio side of things. Coming up next, the game with Ryan Fowler from 2 to 6 p.m. right there on Tide 100.9 and 1230 AM WTBC.
Inside the Alabama Crimson Tide with the Gary Harris Show.
Hey everybody, it's Gary Harris. Thursday morning at 9 a.m. We'll take you to Omaha. Alabama's there for the Men's College Baseball World Series. We'll have an update. Plus we'll visit with Jeff Spiegel from ABC 3340. Take your phone calls and more. That's Thursday morning at 9 a.m.
Catch the Gary Harris Show on Tide 100.9 and 1230 a.m. WTBC and on the Tide 100.9 app. Weekday weekdays from 9 to 11. Now, this hour's West Alabama real-time news update from the Tuscaloosa Thread Newsroom.
The state of Alabama plans to appeal a ruling by U.S. District Court Judge and Tuscaloosa native Emily C. Marks that permanently bans the use of nitrogen gas for executions. Heat indices will bump up to 100 degrees this afternoon and the remainder of the week. Those with sensitivity to heat need to take precautions. And the Alabama baseball team flew out of Tuscaloosa this morning for the College World Series in Omaha. Tide coach Rob.
Today on the pod, we're talking to Joan, a method actor and scratchers enthusiast. So, Joan, what do you like about playing scratchers?
Well, as a method actor, it's about becoming the ticket. Scratching up, down, stage left, stage right.
So what's your motivation? Because your performance feels so real.
Oh, I was just tapping into my inner scratchers.
Incredible.
Yes. Bravo me.
Scratchers from the California Lottery. A little play can make your day. Please play responsibly. Must be 18 years or older to purchase player claim.